Hello. This is Andrine, a Jewish American priestess. And this morning I'm coming to you with a reading. It's about the month of Kislev, which we are currently 1 week into. Things are starting a little slow this month, at least for me. I want to do a reading today that encompasses the whole set of Hebrunes, doing a full spread reading. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to shuffle up these Hebrunes, which are a new set on liquid amber wood, and we're just toss the whole set down, get a picture of the month, and we'll do a reading straight away. Let's pull them up. Toss them all down. Now, the month of Kislev, as you may or may not know, is the month of dreaming. It's where most of the dreams in Torah happen. So we're going to this time of darkness, and we're looking at our dreams. First thing I'm going to do when I do a full spread like this is take out all the Hebrunes that have landed face down and toss them back in the bowl. There are a lot of face down ones today, so we'll have to read the ones that remain. And I'm going to leave that one. That's the Ein Sof, which is the blank. And the full spread, I almost always leave that there to see where that turned up. But when we take out all the face down ones, we end up with how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Hebrunes left today. So, and they're all really high in the spread, which is interesting. So a lot of times the way I read this is, if you imagine the center of the reading here, this is kind of a central path line, perhaps, and then everything above that is something that's helpful, and everything below that is something that is less helpful. Let's just go with that. I'm going to leave them turned. Sometimes I turn them over so you can see how they look upright, but today I'm going to leave, since we have so few, I'm going to leave them lying in the directions that they are lying, and we're going to zoom in so we can see what we have here. Okay, so like the one that seems to be most centered in the reading is the letter Bet, and it's turned over, so I'll show you what it looks like. I'll hold it up so you can see what it looks like when it's face up. Usually looks like this, and it's the letter that means house or home, but the way it's appearing today in the reading is sort of like this. So it's flipped over on its head, nearly completely over, most of the way over, but it is central in the reading. So we're going to say that that letter is our sort of central issue. It's the central theme or focus of the month. And the letter Bet is the second letter in the Aleph Bet. It's Bet. So it's the second letter in the Aleph Bet, and it means home, as I said, or house. It's often seen as the place where we dwell, whether that be a physical building, it could be where we're living right now, where we feel most at home. It could be a place of worship as well. It could be a shul or it could be an even office building, I suppose. But where do we spend our time? Where do we dwell in the world? And with regards to Bet on that front, I think of it in terms of our bodies, because we do carry our bodies with us wherever we go, and we dwell in them all the time while we're alive on this earth. So the central issue for this month of Kislev seems to be taking care of ourselves where we dwell. It can also represent the world, because we dwell on this planet, and so the earth and our bodies being made up of earth, as well as the earth itself being the body of the divine, the physical manifestation of divinity in our physical reality is the earth. We are made up of the earth. Our bodies are also made up of divinity. So it's sort of this macrocosm, microcosm idea of, if we are made up of earth and earth is made up of divinity, we are made up of divinity. Our bodies are also the temples. They are the temples in which the divine dwells. In fact, in Torah it says, if you build this place, the Mishkan, I will dwell within you. So here we have the Beit right in the center, and it's representing that place we dwell, and it's representing the binary transformation of life and death. In the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, many of the letters have a binary transformation, a continuum per se, of something from the idea of life all the way to the idea of death. And where do we land on that? And since our Beit is turned over today, and it's on the central, it's in the middle of the central position, I'm going to suggest that the Beit is saying that we are turning inward. And that makes sense for this time of year because it is a time of darkness. It's a little colder, at least in the northern hemisphere. We're getting into the months of rain and the months of the temperature's dropping and the leaves are dropping and it's getting a little darker. It's darker in the morning, it's darker in the evening. Maybe we're getting together inside more. And so we're going into our homes. We're turning inside. We're going into ourselves. There's a lot of celebrations that happen at this time of year with friends and family that is about turning inward and really introspective. Beit is also this, as I said, the second letter of the alphabet, but it is the first letter of Torah. So there's something about that second becoming first here. So even though we're going inside, even though we are turning into a more, introspective time, that second self may be becoming first. So a lot of times maybe we don't pay attention to our bodies, or we're not huddling down or hibernating, taking the rest that we need. And that is going to put itself first this month. The rest, because Beit is affiliated with the day of Shabbat in the week. And that is the day that we rest. Not just we, but like when the days were created, the first 7 days of creation, Shabbat came on the seventh day because the divine was able to rest and look at all that had been given. And in that moment, it's not because, the divine is so tired after doing all that work. The divine is the divine. It's because divinity prescribed that Shabbat should happen, that taking a rest is a divinely inspired and sacred act. And we get to set into that this month, where we're taking time to rest. And so that's our central theme. Where are we dwelling? How are we turning in? How are we making rest a priority? This internal idea of home is right here in the center of our reading. I'm going to go to the right and down a little bit. And in this position, we have the letter Kaf. And this is how it looks. The Kaf is a palm of a hand. It looks like an outstretched hand. And it's slightly canted. It's the letter that begins the word koach, meaning strength or power. And it has this connotation of the hand of the Shekhinah, the indwelling presence of divine, lifting us up. And it's got this feel of give and take. Kaf is the binary transformation of wealth and poverty. So where on that continuum do you lie between giving what is appropriate to give and receiving assistance and sustenance when you need it, not overextending one's hand? And it's a little bit lower, so this may be a area of challenge when we're taking care of ourselves. How are we able to rely on the divine to lift us up and shelter over us? And how are we able to rely on others that when we need assistance, asking for that and not giving too much, making sure we are tending to ourselves in this. Kaf is the letter that begins the word also keter and kippah, so crown or hat. They sit on top of your head. So that can be seen as, again, a shelter, or it can be seen as oppression. Since this is slightly canted, not completely turned over, but a little bit tilted and a little bit lower than our central letter, I'm going to say there may be an issue with oppression. And it may not be severe oppression, but maybe just feeling put upon, like, oh, I've got so much to do this month. I have to do this. And And maybe you do feel an obligation to others, but your primary, central obligation is to yourself, which is that temple of divinity. So allow the divine to support you, and also don't overextend yourself. Kaf is the letter that rules over the sun in the sky. So we're in this time of darkness. We're going into this time of less sun. So less visible source energy, but still that support coming from beneath and the shelter of the Shekhinah, the wings of the Shekhinah over us at this time. So make sure that you are not overextending at this time. And let's just go to the other one that's over here on the left side, a little bit below. That's the Ein Sof. And the Ein Sof is the blank. I put one in each of my sets because I think it's important to have a representation of that infinite potential. It's just a blank. It's got a dot in the middle because of the wood itself. That's just the pith of the wood. But it's that emptiness, that void, that which existed before all time and will continue to exist after time ceases. So it has this feeling of that concept of tohu vavohu, before creation, before the first word of Torah, Bereshit. In the beginning, we have this blankness, and it's infinite potential, but it can also be seen as chaos, primordial chaos, and this not knowing how things are going to go. So again, since it's a little lower, I'm going to guess that it has to do with this idea of feeling a little untethered, feeling like you don't have a clear picture of how things are going. There's this sort of a fog happening right now. And when we're in that fog, it's important to remember to take care of ourselves and really lean into our bodies, making sure that we're getting our needs met and not overextending ourselves. So this is a fear right now in our situation, this fear of the unknown. And that's showing up here. Let's just jump up. Let's jump up next. On the far left, we have the Lamed, and it's turned all the way over on its head. This is what it looks like, how it landed. It usually looks like this. And the letter Lamed is the letter that begins the word Lev. Lev meaning heart, mind. In the ancient times, people didn't see the heart and mind as separate. You would listen to your heart. We still say this, listen to your heart rather than your head. But they were seen as one entity. So this idea of having discernment is held within the letter Lamed. It's also the first letter of the words Limud v'Lamed, which means teaching and learning and teaching. So we're taking in information and we're learning from it, and then we're turning around and teaching it. And this is supportive. This is above the center, so in the position on the reading. So we are discerning appropriately, and it's completely upside down. So to me, what this is saying in this position is we are learning and teaching what we're learning inside. We're doing this internally. We're not like maybe going out and having a lecture series. We are listening to our heart, listening to our heart mind inside of ourselves, really tapping into the body again, tapping into that sensation in our body that's teaching us what we need to know. The Lamed also represents the intestines in the body, so the kishkas, that listening to your gut feeling. And it looks a little bit like a digestive tract, which I love about the Lamed. So we're listening to the digestion in our body, listening to our gut. And we're also appreciating that our bodies know. They know how to take in what is nourishing and release anything that isn't serving us. We have the ability to take something into our mouth. Bait also represents the mouth in the body. Let it flow through that digestive tract. And when it gets to the intestines, nutrition is absorbed and waste is excreted. So there's something really powerful about that discernment that is going to be most helpful this month. Taking time inside, listening to our heart mind, listening to our kishkas, our guts, listening to our body. And that's just basically a confirmation about the Beit here. A little bit above that, we have the letter Shin, and it's canted on its side. The Shin is the mother letter of fire. It landed like this, sort of like kind of a little bit almost on its side. It's the fire. So you can see it looks a little bit like fire leaping up from a log on the bottom. It's got 3 yuds and 4 vavs in it. The yuds are the smallest of the letters, and the vavs are these long letters and across the bottom as well. And it's the first letter of the word shalom, which means wholeness. It's often translated as peace, but I think of it in terms of balance, perfect balance. It's the letter that begins the word Shekhinah, which is the divine feminine indwelling presence. So fire and divine indwelling presence and wholeness is here to support us. And again, a little bit canted off to the side, which is to say more internal or involved in rest. Like as we lay down, as we rest, we are able to access. We're able to sit in front of the fire. We're having a lot of candles later in the month if you celebrate Hanukkah. You maybe have hearth fires wherever you are. We want to lay down by that fire. We want to rest in that fire and find our place of wholeness, find the internal divine presence of the Shekhinah. It's affiliated with the sun and the moon and the stars. And we've got the sun over here, but with the moon and the stars, as it gets dark at night, remember that even when the sun is not present, we have other heavenly lights that are up there in the sky watching over us. And again, like the hand of the Shekhinah, now we've got the head. Shin also represents the head in the body. So there's something about that passion and creation and wholeness and transformation through fire, even as we sit and watch those fire lights in the fireplace or in the candles, recognizing that even in the cold darkness of the winter, we have fire available to us, inside of us, as we take our rest. Up above, the highest letter in the reading, we have the letter Mem, the mother letter of water. And here she is way at the top. She's tilted over again on her head. Usually looks like this. The Mem represents Mayim Chaim, the waters of life. And it is the symbol for the letter that goes with the winter in the year. So Shin usually is summer, Mem is winter. And it's the highest thing on the reading. So as those of us in the Northern Hemisphere are dealing with the rains that are coming down, all the waters of life that are necessary and cold, and represent darkness, the deep, the tahom, that again, void that is the unseeable when we're in the darkness of the water, the darkness of the year. And it's flipped over. So again, more internal gestation. Mem is the number 40 in Gematria, so it has this sense of gestation within amniotic fluid in the body. As we're waiting for something to be born, and we're going inside, and we're sort of swimming in that water place. Water is all about emotion, could be about tears, or just kind of floating in that amniotic fluid of the Great Mother. Transformation through water as well, and this idea of cleansing with water, like a mikvah. So Mem is at the top of the reading. So the thing that's going to be most helpful at this time of year is bathing in that water, bathing in that gestation time, understanding that we're in a time of rest, a time of waiting, really tuning into our body, trusting in the waters of life, trusting in that cleansing and transformative power of the water that comes. Mem is affiliated with the belly in the body. So it can be about the womb space. It can also be about just taking care of our digestion again. We've got with the lamed here, eating good food, making sure we're taking in what we need to take in, and then allowing it to transform within us. There's a lot of number 40s in Torah that speak to this concept of journeying through a time. 40 days in the wilderness, 40 years in the wilderness, 40 days up on Mount Sinai, 40 days of rain in the Noah story. And so we're in this transformative phase. And the well is represented in the Mem, like the Miriam's well. Miriam also begins with Mem. So this sense of nourishing and sustenance through this long period of time, this long winter that we're going into. Over on the right, we have the letter Resh. Resh is the first letter of the word Rosh. It means head, and it's a beginning of a new thing. And it's tipped over as well. So the Rosh is landed like this. It usually looks like this. It's the head in the body, the same as the shin. It's funny because it's at the same level. So the head is important. Maybe getting out of our heads, since these are both flipped in their way. Resh is about intellect, the mind, and again, putting our heads down, resting a little bit, putting our heads on a pillow, perhaps, and resting. But it does represent a new beginning. And it's the second letter of Torah, Bereshit. So we've got the Beit and the Resh both, and the Shin, Beresh. So we've got the first three letters of Torah. And Bereshit is in the beginning. It means something is coming around again to a new beginning. And that certainly is true in the Gregorian calendar. We're coming into the new year in about a month. Kislev, is ending just as we head into the new year. So Resh is this new beginning coming in. We've got this binary transformation of seed and barrenness within the Resh as well. So we've planted a seed here in the wet time of the fall, and now that seed is in darkness. We're letting the rains come down, and we're going to see what happens, whether a new beginning comes to fruition. So this is also really helpful. Remember, new beginnings are happening, but we need to rest. We need to trust in the process, to know that there's a seed under the ground, that we can't see it right now, and that new beginnings are all over this reading, even in this time of darkness, even in this time of rest. So this is really beautiful so far. And then we've got one more letter at the bottom. We've got the letter Nun. And Nun is down way low. Lowest letter in the reading, and yet still kind of not too low in this altar piece. A lot of times we get letters way down here, but this is, it's the least helpful thing, but it's still not terrible. There's nothing terrible in this reading, and it's landed face down. So it's prostrated, which is great because Nun is the letter that represents humility, and it's right down on its face. It's fallen over. It looks like somebody who's sort of kneeling and has their head bowed, and they've fallen over all the way on their face. So being prostrate is showing up in the reading. But since it's low and it is face down, there is a connotation of being too humble, being too introverted, going into a hermit phase may not be the most useful thing. I affiliate Nun with the Hermit card in tarot, in fact. So it's got this idea of turning within, which is, it can be a very positive thing. The word anava in Hebrew means humility. And humility is a very positive trait when it's used in balance. But if you go too far within and you start self-flagellating or, just feeling like a terrible person or isolating so much that you don't have any connection with anybody on the outside, that's not going to be helpful for you this time. But humility is here. It's showing up because we're in this phase of introspection. It's understandable. Nun is also the foundation of locomotion in the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation. So this idea of moving forward slowly and gradually is here, but since it's face down, we can't move forward. So the other thing that Nun makes me think of is the word Nes, as in the dreidel where it has Nes Gadol Hayasham, which means a great miracle happened here. Nes is that word that means miracle. And the miracle is here, but it's a little bit low, it's a little bit hidden, so that maybe we're not seeing the miracle yet. There's a fear the miracle's not going to happen, that we're just kind of floating in this unknown phase. We're resting, we don't know what's going on. We're maybe feeling put upon because there's so much going on socially with family, and we're feeling a little bit like, I can't do it all, or I can't see the beauty and the miracle in the situation. And if that's the case, if you're feeling afraid of the unknown and feeling like we're not seeing the miracles that are apparent, we can't seem to get ourselves going in the morning because of the darkness, remember to bring ourselves back up to the body. Bring yourself back up to the bait, where we are turning within without beating ourselves up. We're turning within and getting the adequate rest that we need, really paying attention to the messages coming to us through that great receiver, which is the body made of earth, the body that is made of divinity, because the earth is made of divinity. That we're digesting, taking in information, really paying attention to what is useful within and what is important to release right now. But not like going out, again, like on a lecture series, learning the lessons you need to learn within yourself. Again, taking rest, counting on the Shekhinah, knowing that as we contemplate the fire of the season, we have the ability to feel that internal spark. That we've got a time of gestation right now, and again, we're just resting. We're putting our head down, sitting in this gestation time, really paying attention to our body, trusting in the infinite to hold us up. Even when the sun is dim, we've got the moon and the stars over here, and the rains coming down to nourish us and cleanse us right now. It's a beautiful reading for the month of Kislev. Feels very resonant for me. I hope that you found it helpful. If you have any comments, please leave them below. We'd love to hear from you. And I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Have a wonderful Kislev. Chodesh Tov.